श्री
जय।
राधा कृष्ण गोप गोपीनाथ श्याम कुंड राधा कुंड गिरि गोवर्धन धाम की जय। ब्रजभूमि
जय
वृंदावन धाम की जय।
जय
मायापुर धाम की जय।
जय
गंगा माई की जय।
जय
यमुना माई की जय।
जय
तुलसी देवी की जय। तुलसी
जय
महाराज की जय।
जय
समवेद गौर भक्त वृंद की जय। All
जय।
glories to the assembled devotees. Hare
हरे
Krishna.
हरे कृष्णा
All glories to the assembled devotees.
हरे कृष्णा
All glories to the assembled devotees. Hare Krishna.
हरे कृष्णा।
All glories to Sri Sri Guru and Gauranga.
All glories of those to Lord Shri Shri Guru and Shri Gauranga.
Hare Krishna. Thank you all for joining for our daily Srimad Bhagavatam study at ISKCON of Philadelphia. Today we are reading, studying, and discussing from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 3, Chapter 5, text number 47. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय।
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय।
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय।
I'm going to recite the shloka 3 times. Then anyone who is interested may also recite. Tata pare chatma samadhi yoga balena jitva prakritim balishtham tvameva dhira purusham vishanti tesham sramasyan tu sevayate. तथा परे चात्मसमाधियोगा बलेन जित्वा प्रकृतिं बलिष्ठां त्वामेव धीरा पुरुषं विशन्ति तेषां श्रमः स्यान्न तु सेवया ते। तथा परे चात्मसमाधियोगा बलेन जित्वा प्रकृतिं बलिष्ठां त्वामेव धीरा पुरुषं विशन्ति तेषां श्रमः स्यान्न तु सेवया ते। Hare Krishna, please recite.
हरे कृष्णा। तथा परे चात्म समाधि योग बलेन जित्वा प्रकृतिं बलिष्ठां त्वामेव धीराः पुरुषं विशन्ति तेषां शमः स्यान् न तु सेवयाते।
कृष्ण। तथा परे चात्मा समाधि योगा बलेन जिद्वा प्रकृतिं बलिष्ठं तमेव धीरा पुरुषं विशन्ति तेषां श्रमसां न तु सेवते। हरे कृष्ण।
तथा परे नाच तथा परे चात्मसमाधियोगा बलेन जित्वा प्रकृतिं बलिष्ठं त्वमेव धीरा पुरुषं विशन्ति तेषां श्रमास्यान् न तु सेवयते। हरे कृष्ण।
हरे कृष्ण। तथा परे चात्मसमाधियोगा बलेन जित्वा प्रकृतिं बलिष्ठां त्वामेव धीरा पुरुषं विशन्ति तेषां शमास्यान् न तु सेव्यते। हरे कृष्ण। थैंक यू।
हरे कृष्ण प्रभु। तथा परे चत्मा समाधि जोगा बलेन जित्वा प्रकृतिं बलिष्ठां त्वामेव धीरा पुरुषं विशन्ति तेषां श्रमाशयना तो सेवयाते. Hare Krishna.
Anyone else? Go to the synonyms. Tatha, as far as. Apare, others. Cha, also. Atma Samadhi, transcendental self realization. Yoga means balena, by the strength of. Jitva, conquering. Prakritim, acquired nature or modes of nature. Balishtham, very powerful. Tvam, you. Eva, only. Dhira, pacified. Purusham, person. Vishanti, enters into. Tesham, for them. Shrama, much labor. Shat, has to be taken. Na, never. Tu, but. Sevaya, by serving. Te, of you. Translation. Others. So the focus of this verse is others. Others who are pacified by means of transcendental self realization and have conquered over the modes of nature by dint of strong power and knowledge also enter into you, but for them there is much pain. Whereas the devotee simply discharges devotional service and thus feels no such pain. Purport. In terms of a labor of love and its returns, the bhaktas or devotees of the Lord always have priority over persons who are addicted to the association of jnanis or impersonalists and yogis or mystics. The word apare, others, is very significant in this connection. Others refers to the jnanis and the yogis whose only hope is to merge into the existence of the impersonal Brahmajyoti. Although their destination is not so important in comparison to the destination of the devotees, the labor of the non devotees is far greater than that of the bhaktas. One may suggest that there is sufficient labor for the devotees also in the matter of discharging devotional service. But that labor is compensated by the enhancement of transcendental pleasure. The devotees derive more transcendental pleasure while engaged continuously in the service of the Lord than when they have no such engagement. In the family combination of a man and a woman, there is much labor and responsibility for both of them. Yet, when they are single, they feel more trouble for want of their united activities. The union of the impersonalists and the union of the devotees are not on a par. The impersonalists try to fully stop their individuality by attaining Sayuja Mukti or unification by merging into oneness, whereas the devotees keep their individuality to exchange feelings in relationship with the Supreme Individual Lord. Such reciprocation of feelings takes place in the transcendental Vaikuntha planets, and therefore the liberation sought by the impersonalists is already achieved in devotional service. The devotees attain mukti automatically while continuing the transcendental pleasure of maintaining individuality. As explained in the previous words, the destination of the devotees is Vaikuntha or Akunta Dishnya, the place where anxieties are completely eradicated. One should not mistake the destination of the devotees and that of the impersonalists to be one and the same. The destinations are distinctly different, and the transcendental pleasure derived by the devotee is also distinct from chinmatra or spiritual feelings alone. ॐ अज्ञानतिमिरन्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकाय चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरुवे नमः Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Sapatantikam Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Presthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namne Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvisesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंदा हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे ओम विष्णुपदाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते सच्चिनंदन स्वामी नामने नित्यानंद प्रिप्रेष्ट दीनभद्रे कृपा Hare Krishna, thank you all for joining and thank you for giving me this wonderful opportunity. Before I speak, I seek blessings from all the assembled Vaishnavas. Please bless me and please give me permission so I can try to repeat what I have heard, primarily for my own purification. And I pray that whatever I speak is pleasing to the Lord and all the Vaishnavas. Hare Krishna. So, to read this translation again, let me open the verse. Oh, thank you, Mataji. Others who are pacified by means of transcendental self-realization and have conquered over the modes of nature by dint of strong power and knowledge also enter into you, but for them there is much pain, whereas the devotee simply discharges devotional service and thus feels no such pain. Thank you so much, Mataji. So, who is speaking in these verses? Who is saying this?
Demigods?
Yes, thank you, Mataji. The demigods are speaking.
Thank you.
The demigods are offering prayers to the Supreme Lord. Generally, when when a devotee offers prayers to the Lord, what are they saying? What are they expressing? Right? Generally, devotees express their heartfelt feelings. But about what? Yes, anyone? What do they talk about?
Engage me in your service, Lord.
Yes, wonderful. Anyone else? Thank you. Describe the glories of the Lord, the wonderful activities of the Lord. Sometimes devotees express their situation in relation to the Lord, right? So many prayers are there in the Bhagavatam. So many great devotees express their feelings and prayers to the Lord. And here, in this third canto, we'll be seeing Brahma will be glorifying the Lord. If you read the Brahma Samhita prayers, hear the Brahma Samhita prayers, when Brahma saw the Supreme Personality of Godhead through his meditation, he saw the Lord and he started to describe the Lord, to describe his abode, where he saw the Lord, how he saw the Lord, the beauty of the Lord, the power, the living entity's relationship with the Lord. And finally, Brahma glorifies Lord, describing the benefits of being a devotee of the Lord. So the example, I gave this example because, this is what devotees do. Great devotees glorify the Lord. So similar expressions by demigods are there in these verses. Yeah, what are they doing? They are explaining the advantages and benefits of developing a personal relationship with the Lord, right? Especially in the previous verse we read. So, in the previous words, yesterday we read, the demigod said What was the advantage of being becoming a devotee of the Lord? Anyone remembers? Yesterday's verse, there was one key phrase. Okay, let me see if okay, here. Text 46. O Lord, persons who, because of their serious attitude, attain the stage of enlightened devotional service, achieve the complete meaning of renunciation and knowledge, and attain the Vaikuntha Loka in the spiritual sky. How do they attain? Simply by drinking the nectar of what? Of your topics. And the previous verse says. So simply by drinking the nectar of your topics, the demigods are says, the demigods are saying. So what is this process of devotional service called? Of hearing the nectar of the Lord's topics?
Shravana.
Shravana. Yes, out of the ninefold devotional service. Uh, Shravanam. And what should the devotee hear about? What constitutes Shravana? The wonderful activities of the Supreme Personality of Godhead is Shravanam. Yeah. And simply, Prabhupada, in the translation, it says yesterday was simply. So, simply by hearing what happens, devotees can reach Vaikuntha Loka, Vaikuntha. And in today's purport also Prabhupada is explaining, and in yesterday's translation, yesterday's words also it was there, Akunta Dishnyam, right? That was the word. And we all know Kunta means anxiety, right? And Akunta means no anxiety.
No
No
anxiety.
anxiety. And Dishnyam means a place or situation. So the place or situation where there is no anxiety. Simply by hearing pastimes of the Lord, we can go to such place where there is no anxiety and where there is no situation um, which will create anxiety. So the point here is no need of practicing all these yoga processes like, yama, niyama, asana, pranayama, pratyahara, all those, you know, eightfold yoga processes, which are so very difficult. And the process of restricting forcefully from sense enjoyment, how? By rules and regulations. It's very, very difficult. Prabhupada explains it's like restricting a diseased person from certain types of eatables. Mm. And the patient he neither likes such restrictions nor loses his taste for the eatables. So, this so the point here is these kind of sense restrictions by processes like Ashtanga Yoga, like this Yama, Niyama, uh, it is recommended for less intelligent persons who have no better knowledge, as Prabhupada calls them as fools, right here. So, uh, here in this verse, it is pointed out that ultimate culmination of knowledge is what? Devotional service. Uh, the ultimate renunciation is devotional service, jnana and vairagya. So, when one directly takes to the process of devotional service, he automatically gets knowledge and renunciation. Uh, in the Bhagavat Mahatmya of the Padma Puran, it's explained that Bhakti Devi has two sons, Jnana and Vairagya, knowledge and renunciation. And wherever the mother goes, sons also go. So wherever there is devotion, Jnana and Vairagya are also there. Yeah. Uh, and Prabhupada is emphasizing this bhakti can be executed so easily, says, simply by hearing. And it is susukham. Mm. Sukham is joyful. Susukham is, it's very joyful. Is it difficult to hear? Right? Especially if it is nice story or wonderful activities. There is a chapter, Wonderful Krishna. The children also love to hear, right? When it is wonderful activities of the Lord. Um, mm, so what can be more exciting than Krishna's wonderful pastimes, which is the absolute truth? So wonderful Krishna, wonderful activities. Yeah. So when it's accompanied by kirtan and prasad, then we engage joyfully in dancing. So this is very easily and joyfully performed. And this is what Prabhupada is explaining, that this is what devotees do, hearing, chanting, and dancing, and honoring prasadam. And in today's this verse, he's talking about others, right? Others means those who don't understand this culmination of jnana and vairagya. Who are they? They are mudha, vajananti mam mudha. Those are who are fools who do not have this knowledge. And what do they want to follow? They want to follow this process of jnanis and yogis, jnana and yoga. Uh, um, and these are also, as Prabhupada explains in the purport, they are also part of spiritual activities. And one can uh, also attain spiritual position. Uh, but uh, but what kind of spiritual position? The impersonal position of merging into the effulgence of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And they cannot go beyond that. So these are the others. One is the devotees, which we heard yesterday, and the others, non devotees, but they are spiritualists. What is their situation? That is what is being described here in this verse. Yeah. Tata apare. Apare means others. Yeah. Chatma samadhi yoga. Who are engaged, these others who are engaged in Atma Samadhi yoga. Means transcendental self realization by the means of yoga, by the process of yoga. Balena. Balena means very powerful. Uh, through great power by means of Samadhi yoga. Jitva prakritim balishtham. So, Jitva prakriti means they conquer this material nature, prakriti. How is it? So, the material nature is trying to attract the living entity towards this illusory concept, right? Now they conquer that or overcome the influence of this material nature. Tvameva. So they also dhira purusham vishanti. They enter into the Supreme Personality of Godhead. But tesham shramashyan, But what do they get? What is the meaning of the word shrama? Stress. Stress. Yeah. So this verse reminded me of the two back-to-back verses in the 12th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, 12.5, which is Kleshadikatarastesham avyakta sakta chetasam avyakta hi gatir dukkham dehavadbhiravapyate. Klesha. Klesha means um,
Difficulties,
misery. Yeah.
miseries.
Yeah, misery. So, adhikatar. Adhika means what? Adhik.
Large.
Lots. Yeah, greater and greater misery. Those who are avyakta chetasa. Means for those whose minds are attached to the unmanifested, to the impersonal feature of the Supreme. For them, this advancement is very troublesome. To make progress in that discipline itself is very difficult, so a lot of trouble if you try to attach your mind to this unmanifested, inconceivable, immovable, impersonal conception of the absolute truth. So because generally the mind wants to always think of something, right? Can the mind be without thinking about anything?
No.
If we attempt for a minute,
Yes.
It's not possible. Yeah. Very, very difficult. Of course, maybe some great yogis who have completely withdrawn their mind from the externals by following strict disciplinary procedures and who are really absorbed in trance. Maybe they can do, but not for most of us, right? Um, and that too, even if they can do these great yogis, but that too after a lot of trouble, lot of klesha. So, and dehavadbhiravapyate. Means for those with these material bodies, in the present situation, I'm in the bodily conception, right? Um, if I have children, if we tell children, sit for 1 hour and do nothing.
It's too hard.
If you're a teacher, you can relate to this. Are they gonna sit without doing anything? No
Too
activity.
hard for them.
Yeah. The first question is, what do you want me to do? I'm bored. Right? Especially if they have no engagement, no device, no phone. Uh, Immediately, the first question that comes is, what do you want me to do? Uh, So telling children not to do anything and do nothing is like, asking a fish to fly or a bird to swim. You know, you see, children by nature, they want to jump, right? They want to play, they want to make some noise. So, same way, the embodied soul by nature is not accustomed to be absorbed in something that is formless. He wants form and qualities. Uh, but in the material conception, I want forms and qualities in the material context, right? Material variety, material form, material quality, all variety, but in material context, in the material conception, in the present situation. Uh, so that is natural, and beyond that, the soul. Of course, the soul right now is wrongly identifying itself with the material body, but even I tell somebody, oh, don't associate with this body, or don't identify with this material body. Yeah. Oh, you're not this body. Now, theoretically, I may accept, or somebody may accept, soul is eternal, body is temporary, but really, what does one do in practical terms? Right? One needs proper engagement. Huh? My existence as a soul is theoretical unless I'm practically engaged on the soul platform in devotional service. Right? Do you all agree?
Yeah.
Otherwise, it just remains a theory. Yeah. So, like I may say I'm an Indian citizen, I'm a US citizen, or whatever, you know, just saying it means nothing. It doesn't stick unless there is some practical engagement as an Indian citizen, or as an American citizen, or as a Chinese citizen, or whatever it is, right? Practical engagement, of course, that's on the material platform. But similar example, I'm just trying to give an example to relate to. Same way, soul needs practical engagement. Soul needs similar engagement on the spiritual platform. And what is that? So many spiritual topics to read, lots of activities to do on the spiritual platform, spiritual forms, qualities, deity worship. That's our focus, on the spiritual things. Then we will, be situated not only on the theoretical platform, but also on the practical level, right? And the deity worship helps us to engage practically on the spiritual platform. Yeah. Uh, uh, Although, we all are spirit souls, we see body of everyone. Yeah. We detect there is spirit, but but I'm talking about myself. I don't have the spiritual vision. I have material eyes. So I see chemicals, metals. So Krishna appears in a form that I can see. Yeah. through the material elements, in the material elements, so I can fix my mind. His form is spiritual, but for my benefit, he appears in the form of these material elements. So I can see him, so I can serve him. Patram pushpam phalam toyam. Yeah, so I can offer something with love and devotion to the deities. So I can offer obeisances. Yeah. Uh, uh, sometimes the materialists or these impersonalists may say, "Oh, you are worshipping a statue or an idol." No, Lord is absolute. Lord, the absolute nature of the Lord means he can appear in the material form, and that becomes spiritual. The example is given of electricity, right? Electricity can be changed from heating to cooling. Right? In winter, uh, uh, you want electricity to be giving heating effect, right? At least now. I'm in India, but it's pretty cold out there, right? In the Philadelphia area, isn't it?
Yeah, it's snowing.
Yeah. You go to Dubai, you want the electricity to give you a nice cooling effect, right? All time. So Krishna can appear in material or spiritual form. Huh? But Krishna, represented in the material qualities, is also spiritual. Like the example is given of the iron rod that is placed in fire. It's no longer iron, it's fire. So, many examples are given. So, same way, Lord is present in the form of Archa Vigraha. It's an authorized form, and he will accept the service in the Archa Vigraha incarnation just to make it convenient for all of us. And the Lord is all powerful, so he can appear in any form and anywhere, right? Um, Sometimes we hear people say, if God is everywhere, then why do you have to go to temple? Have you heard this?
Yeah.
When he's present everywhere, then he's present in the temple also. So why shouldn't we go? So, and that form that we have, the Archa Vigraha form, it's not some speculation or imagination. No, it's not manufactured by some imagination. No. No, we take information from the Shastra. Brahma Samhita describes, the Bhagavatam describes many places. So many beautiful paintings we see in the temples, in so many places, which are those which are based on Shastras, based on the description in the Shastras. The point is that all the forms of Krishna that are authorized, and Krishna accepts service in those forms. Just like you have these authorized mailboxes, if you put your mail in those authorized mailboxes, it will go to its destination. It will work. The process set up by the post office will work. But if I just create my own post box and put it, will it accept? Will it go to the destination? No. So, so Krishna makes himself available in these authorized incarnations. Otherwise, it's all impersonal. So devotees derive great pleasure, and they go back to the spiritual world. And it says they ecstatically move towards this Vaikuntha, and that is the advantage of devotional service. And in devotional service also, ideally, although it is wonderful um, in the beginning, middle, and end. Here it's talking about, it's very painful and stressful for the others, right? For devotees who are engaged in the loving devotional service to the personal form of the Lord, or engaged in developing a relationship with the personal form of the Lord, yeah, for them it is, the beginning is wonderful, the middle is wonderful, and the end is wonderful, right? Yeah, sometimes it may look like, or one way to look at it, maybe yes, it may be painful in the beginning, but the end is blissful. Yeah. For the materialists, You know, beginning is pleasurable, but end is painful. And devotional life is pleasurable all the way through, beginning, middle, and end. The painful aspect is to give up the material attachment. Yeah, like the example is given of a drug addict, right? Giving up that drug addiction is very difficult. That is the bad habit, right? Giving up is difficult. But when he gives up, what happens? Is there any more klesha or misery?
No, he'll be happy.
No. So the giving up part is the most difficult part. When he gives up, then goodbye. All misery is gone and all auspiciousness is invited. Yeah. So great, get rid of the klesha and invite the shubhada. Yeah. So same point. Yeah, here is being established. So, and we can experience, I personally also, before engaging in devotional service, I know this is some personal realization that, uh, I used to, even in the, mm, I mean, several years ago, I used to be so worried, so much in anxiety, so much in misery. Klesha was all over me, top to bottom. I couldn't sleep properly. Every time I wake up in the middle of the night, I would be in anxiety, worrying, spending so many hours thinking about so many things. But the more you hear these nectarian topics of Krishna from wonderful devotees, um, and the more you engage in devotional service under the guidance of, you know, Guru and all the Vaishnavas, uh, you don't feel any more anxiety. The worry goes away. At least it doesn't bother one that much. Yeah, you all agree?
Yeah.
Yeah. So Krishna takes care of all those. Yeah. So, yeah. So devotees reach the place where there are no anxieties for body, mind, you know. But for others, um, they also enter into the body of the Lord or into the Brahma Jyoti. But, as Prabhupada explains here, uh, they feel a lot of pain. But in the purport, Prabhupada is talking about, well, somebody may say devotees are absorbed in the service. Devotees also go through a lot of uh, pain. Yeah. So, uh, um, uh, so, but devotees, so the yogis, these yogis who are practicing, for them, the labor, the comparison is made between the labor for the no, for these gyanis and yogis, and the labor or the return on labor. The comparison is there. We all are working in this material world with the expectation of some return, right? In the transcendental realm, those who are on this path, what is the return? There should be some return, right? So these people, they understand there is no pleasure. So they start their journey by this, gyanic process. They try to understand the concepts. What is my real nature? By prolonged contemplation of jnana, then they can transcend. But they need a lot of mental power to sustain this. Lot of willpower. Just imagine so much willpower, personal efforts, so much to go on contemplating. That is jnanic process. Uh, and then there is this yogic process. Through the jnana, he is controlling the mind to cross over all the distraction of the senses and the mind. And the yogis are using the different asanas, the breathing exercises. Yeah. Um, and bringing this by that process to bring the senses under control, through eating, sleeping, doing yoga in the morning, afternoon, evening, before sleeping. So many, breathing exercises. Finally, you get to rest. Then again, next day, same regimen, right? You see these yogic processes, it's the same process they are going through. So Prabhupada says this is exclusively dependent on balena, one's own struggle. Individual struggle is there. No one can help. You have to go through this whole power and knowledge. Yeah. Uh, so this is the Gyanis and Yogis. And as I was saying, Prabhupada writes in the purport, well, devotees also struggle, right? Is there struggle and labor in devotees also? What do you all think? The devotees, many devotees wake up at 3:30, 4 a.m., right? Do continuously engaged in service till 9 or 10. As soon as they hit the bed, they immediately go into deep sleep,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
But one may say, so devotees are also going through a lot of struggle and labor. Uh, 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 just 4 or 5 hours of rest, so many festivals, so much fasting, so many services, uh, continuously engaged in service. How come they are able to feel pleasure? They feel more transcendental pleasure, Prabhupada says, and we see this. Uh, 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 and when there is no engagement, then devotees feel helpless and pained. But if they are absorbed in devotional service, more and more engagement, then devotees are more and more pleased and joyful, right? So hearing is a service, chanting is a service, reading books is also a service, and we feel great satisfaction and certain pleasure we get, and we are able to go on and on. Yeah. So devotees can also conquer the material nature, but through the process of loving devotional service. Yeah. Uh, so after all so much of labor, these impersonalities they merge into the Brahma Jyoti. And then even if they merge, what happens? Suppose I am locked up in a room, in a dark room, there is nobody else, there is just some bright light on my face, and there is nothing to do, nobody, nothing. How long can I sit like that? And even if I can sit, will I be happy? Nothing except light. It's not possible to be happy. So, what happens? Then they come down again and, become big philanthropists, get into big charities, establishing hospitals, but again, ultimately become entangled here. So the point is, they get more pleasure in their activities here than remaining in the Brahma Jyoti or in acquiring all these powers. You know, Prabhupada tells a story of about the yogis acquiring powers. I'm sure most of you know the story of which is the 2 paisa worth of the yogis. Yeah, you know that Vindhyavali Mataji. So one man or a boy, he went from his village, along with some yogis, and after 10 years or so, he returns back. Hmm? He advertises himself in the village when he returns that I've become a successful yogi. In yoga practice, I've become successful. So all the villagers naturally were very curious. They all came, surrounded him. Oh, that's great. What yoga practice have you mastered? What have you learned? And What was the answer he gave? I can walk on water, right? Sorry, oh, thank you. Thank you, Madhavi Gaurangi Mataji. So she says it was discussed in Sunday feast class. That's very nice. Sorry, I wasn't there. Um, so yeah, oh, I can walk. Um, 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 oh, even if you ask me now, I can walk. Huh? So then all the arrangement was there. Many people came to see, and you know, um, he crosses. You know, then an old man came there. He said, "Sir, this is wonderful. Yeah, you were able to walk across this water, this river, but this is 2 paisa worth." And this yogi who returned from yogic practice, he said, "Why? Huh? Huh? You walk and cross the river. I took a boat, paid 2 paisa, and crossed the river. So what is your credit? What is the value of your yogic practice? 2 paisa. Destination is same. I paid 2 paisa and crossed. You took 10 years, 15 years, 20 years, practice so much, and same 10 years of labor. And what is the return? So, but devotees, that's Prabhupada, right? Bhakta has a high priority. Yeah? Yogis are just left with labor. You know, there is a beautiful words in the Bhagavatam, 10th canto, 14th chapter. Hmm. I'll just read the translation of that verse, 10:14:4. "Mm, My dear Lord, devotional service unto you is the best path for self realization. If someone gives up that path and engages in the cultivation of speculative knowledge, he will simply undergo a troublesome process and will not achieve his desired result. As a person who beats an empty husk of wheat cannot get grain, one who simply speculates cannot achieve self realization. His only gain is klesha, trouble. Uh, so, someone who is trying to merge into the Brahma Jyoti, Brahman effulgence, is just left with botheration. Uh, so, the example analogy given is the essence of agriculture is grain. You beat the husk to get the grain out, but empty husk, you keep beating it. Will you get anything out of it?
No.
Yeah. Essence is to reach the Supreme Lord. If that is not there, all the activities are Shrama eva hi kevalam, waste of time. um, so, yeah. So the Gyanis think devotees are sentimentalists, right? And they are great as they all day just reading and interpreting shastras. Yeah. So, um, the bottom line, I wanted to just emphasize that the nature of the soul is to be active, and these others, uh, no matter what they do, there may be no definite realization for them, and again they fall down. Even after going through so much trouble. Why? Because they are not in their constitutional position. They'll fall down. Like any satellite that is floating in the air, you know, it will be pulled by gravity to any planet. So the nature of the soul is to be active. Just like I gave the example of children. Uh, uh, you can suspend the activities for some time, forcefully make them sit, but it's a matter of time. before it breaks down, right? So same way, because the nature of the child is to be active, to jump, to make noise. So same way, with great trouble, even if one suppresses the real identity of the living entity and try to merge into the Supreme, but you will eventually come down to this material world to engage in material activities. And the other important thing is, because I've not prepared myself for spiritual activities, so uncertain, because the blissful realization portion is not realized. I haven't realized the blissful portion. There is no me, there is no you, there is no subject, no object. Then who is there to enjoy the bliss? The ultimate point is the bliss, right? Is the experience, is bliss is the experience. To experience. And to experience, should there be a personal identity or not? Can somebody experience if they don't have any identity, individuality? What do you think? To appreciate something, someone must be there, right? The personal identity must be there. So impersonal, merging into the Brahman effulgence, there is no bliss. Now he's stuck. And what happens after that? And if you keep on practicing this impersonal um, process like the Gyanis and Yogis, after a long time and going through so much of trouble, even if you inform, a devotee informs him about the form, name, and qualities, what happens? He's so addicted to the impersonal that he won't accept, right? Uh, so there's this cow and barn philosophy that Jay Advait Maharaj shares in one of his lectures, where there's a fire in the barn. And anytime the cow sees red, once there was a fire in the barn, and anytime the cow sees red, it thinks there is fire. The same way the impersonalists, they didn't want all of these, personal aspects of the Lord, name, form, qualities. And now you inform them, they think it's all fire like that cow and the barn. All this trouble they went through, the impersonalists, what does it do? It blocks their thinking, both in terms of practice and realization. And this is against the spiritual and blissful nature of the soul. So the ultimate conclusion is that full engagement in loving devotional service to the Lord is the best way. Otherwise, it's very dangerous. Um, if we, uh, if anybody, turns towards impersonalism, yeah, it becomes very, very difficult. So you should stay away from impersonal approach, engage in devotional service. And Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, those who engage in devotional service, they are in a better position. The others are in great difficulty. So why go through all that difficulty? Why not just take the easier method for a higher realization? Right? It makes sense. It's very sensible. Just stick to the easy process. Brahma Bhuta Prasannatma. The impersonalist has to see everything equally, spiritually. And when they finally come to the Brahma Bhuta realization, he comes to devotional service. Brahmano hi pratishtaham. Krishna says, I am the person behind this impersonal Brahman. Right? Mamekam sharanam raja. Right? Ma means me. He says, I am the person, surrender to me. Man bhava mad bhakto. Madhyajimam namaskuru. Offer obeisances to me, worship me. So these impersonalists, they think not to Krishna, the person. But Krishna himself is saying, Brahmano hi pratishtaham, is resting on me. Matta parataram nanyat kinchid asti dhananjaya. There is nothing superior to me, Krishna is saying, the person. There is no higher thing than me. Vasudeva sarvamiti. So many times, it's again and again repeated. Yeah. And there is a verse another verse in the Bhagavad Gita 7th chapter. I can't remember the number, whether it's 23 or 24. Avyaktam vyaktimapannam. Right? So they think whenever Lord appears, they think this vyaktim is coming from what? Avyaktam. From the impersonal, these forms are coming. And who are these people? Avajananti Mudha. Mudha. The foolish people, they don't understand my higher nature. I am the supreme controller. And Krishna talks about devotional service in the 12th chapter. I talked about 12.5, Klesha Adhikataras. But the next verse talks exclusively about devotees and devotional service, 12.7. Even in the 6th chapter, at the end of the 6th chapter, Krishna says, Yoginam api sarvesham. Those who make me the goal, who serve me with great faith, Shraddhavan bhajate yoma. They are the best yogis. Yeah, so just a few points I wanted to share. Please correct me, please add, and please forgive me for any mistakes that I may have made. And I thank you all for your kind attention and the opportunity for me to speak. Hare Krishna.
Thank you very much, Prabhu, for a nice class, and then letting us know how the devotional service we should do and what. So, a lot of points you told us today. Thank you very much for all that.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you very much, Prabhu. You explained very nicely the distinction between the yogis, jnanis, dhyanis, and bhakta. So how bhakta is superior. And you also said about suffering, that devotees also suffer, but devotees know very well that suffering, because they know that we are not this body, we are just a spiritual soul. And actually soul never suffers. Soul doesn't get any pain, whatever. It's like a man sleeps, and in the dream he says the lion is biting him or eating him or whatever. We see so many dreams every night, and we see so many pains also in the dream, but when we wake up, nothing happened to us. Similarly, this human body is just fraction of our eternity, what we live in this millions and millions of lifetimes. So this is nothing actually. If you see, think deeply about this as a devotee, because very, very hard to explain to the non-devotees. But as a devotee, if you think, that I'm getting this pain, this life sucks, like that. But devotee should never think like that, because whatever is happening, is by Krishna's will, so we should just accept that way. And actually, we don't suffer. I have seen Vinoba Bhave, like not seeing my personally, but I heard, I was in 7th, 8th grade. He knew that he is not this body, and a big surgery, liver, like a gallbladder surgery, he got it done without anesthesia actually. And it came in the newspaper. So we can imagine, even we get little pinprick, how much pain we have. But he told the surgeons, go ahead, I don't want anesthesia. They just give him some local anesthesia, but that's it. And he got that big surgery done. So this way, actually, there is no pain in the life, if you think that way. But we think like in the dream, we think similarly, oh, I'm in the pain, my all money is gone, things like that, but actually it's not the way it is, we should think that way as a devotee. So we will not suffer these pains of this material life. Thank you very much, Prabhu.
Thank you, Prabhu. Thank you so much for sharing that. Yes. In fact, when we don't do anything, devotees, when they don't do anything or don't engage in devotional service, they feel more pain and frustration. Thank you, Prabhu. Yes.
Thank you.
Acharya Prabhu is there, Madhavi Gaurangi Mataji is there, others, any corrections, comments?
Uh,
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Hare
Just like you are saying, Prabhu, devotees, when they are not engaged in the devotional service, they have like more pain. They feel more pain. This is really true. I experienced something like, when I don't finish my chanting and it becoming like almost 9 o'clock at night or 10 o'clock, I become too much angry. I tell my family I don't want to do anything. I just want to finish my rounds chanting. You guys do everything because sometimes we have like lots of things, and maybe we think like after this one I will do it. Then another things come, just like that. Like it take time. So whenever some one person also said like when she don't finish her chanting, she get headache, and I get anger. So this is really true, Prabhu. Thank you.
Thank you for sharing. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
It's good to have little anxiety and headache to serve Krishna nicely, to chant our rounds nicely, to please Krishna.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. Very nice class. What I'm thinking is that we should, when we um, talk to God, or when we should glorify God. At this point, I want to remember that we should
Mhm.
always, whatever we do, bhakti, devotional service, but we should remember to glorify God with the birds like Prahlad Maharaj did, Brahma ji did. So those glorification. That point I got today. Thank you so much, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Yeah, thank you for reminding us, all of us about that, Mataji. Yes. Sometimes, this question comes up. I want to pray, but I don't know what to pray. Right? Yeah.
yeah.
Sometimes this question comes up. I don't know what to pray. So we can hear these glorious prayers of these demigods. We can hear the glorious prayers of all the great devotees, Brahma, as you said, Prahlad, and so many other great personalities. Thank you, Mataji. Thank you for that reflection.
Thank you, Hare Krishna. Okay.
Yeah, thank
Hare
you,
Krishna.
Prabhu. Sorry,
Go ahead.
got somebody. yeah, last night only I was reading about you were talking about, God is everywhere. Why can it be in the temple? So Prabhupada I was reading, Prabhupada was telling God is everywhere, but we don't have the eyes to see Him everywhere. That's why the God is so merciful appeared, in the Archa Vigraha, in the form of metal, marbles, wood, and metal, so many different elements, so that we can see Him everywhere, so that we can meditate on Him. So,
Yes, yes. Thank you. Thank you for sharing. Hare Krishna, it's 9. Any other final comments, corrections?
Thank you
No?
very much, Prabhu.
Thank you all for
Panchakalpatarubyasya kripasindhubhyo
Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnava.
Vaishnavebhyo namo.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Granthara Srimad Bhagavatam
Bhagavad
Jai. Srila Prabhupada Ki
Ki
Jai.
Jai. Hare Krishna.